Deep Threat Sports Network fans, welcome back. Hey, we have some exciting news. We are trying a new software for us on this network. We believe right now that we are currently live on YouTube. Hopefully that is the case. If you are watching us live and you do see us live, let us know in the chat. We can see your comments as we go along. This is super exciting stuff for us. We've been working really hard to try to get this done because we know this would be the best thing for us to do when it comes to YouTube. Really exciting stuff. But, hey, we also do have our SEC win totals part 2 this episode, and that does wrap up our Power 4 conference win totals. So hope you've been following along with us on that. Looking forward to seeing what you guys think about those. If you're riding with us, if you're not, hey, if you're not, like we say every time, you're wasting money. You're losing money because this show wins money. That's all we do is print tickets. Nolan, Dave, Bryant, fellas, how we doing? This is awesome stuff here. Hopefully this translates really good for us out there on YouTube.
Doing well.
Dave, Bryant, how we doing, fellas?
Doing good. Ready to get back to it. See what the rest of the SEC is about. See if it really is.
Check
the best
her out on
conference.
YouTube.
Are we good?
Check her
You
on
see us?
YouTube. We are currently live.
That's awesome, man. Hell yeah. So this is working. This is not a total failure. This is awesome. The work in the studio is working. I love to hear it. All right. So how we kick off every episode, Nolan usually fires off with us on a question. Nolan, what do you have for us this week on our show?
So I'm sure some of our listeners know about the blue chip ratio. The article just came out today naming all of the blue chip ratio teams that are above 50%. And the reason that's important, it has been every national champion dating all the way back to 2011 when this stat was created. Every team that has won the national championship has been 50% or above blue chip ratio. And what that means for our viewers that don't know, 4 and 5 stars are considered blue chip. 2, 3, 1, 0 stars, they're all considered non-blue chip players out of high school.
Did we lose Nolan there?
I think we might have lost him.
We might have lost Nolan for a second on the blue chip ratio. When Nolan comes back to us here, we'll pick up where he left off. Man, I don't know what happened to him there. Nolan, are you back? No, Nolan is not back. Nolan is gone. So we will circle back to Nolan's question relating to blue chip ratio, and we will make sure we get to that. Well, since we can't get to that right now, we might as well move on to the first team that we're going to talk about on this episode, and that is Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt, the over-under win total is currently sitting at over-under 4.5 wins, with the over at -188, the under at +152. Bryant, where are you at with this Vanderbilt football team?
Man, I really think Vandy's going to come back down to earth this year. Pavia, honestly, I don't know how he's still there. He got the JUCO waiver thing that came through, but he's back. Eli Stowers is back. I mean, he's probably one of the better tight ends in this league, I think. I have the under, though. I have them only winning 3 games. I think this is going to be the Vanderbilt we've seen of past. I think teams are going to figure out what kind of offense they're trying to run, limit Pavia, and you win the football game. Not a bad quarterback, but I just think they're going to teams are going to hone in on him, and they know what they tried to run last year. I doubt they're going to change it a whole lot this year. So I'm going to roll with the under at 3. Pretty tough schedule too, honestly. They got LSU at home. They got to travel to South Carolina. Really tough schedule. If they're going to compete, Pavia's got to be special, and Coach Lee's got to cook something up, and their defense has to step up. But I just don't see it this year. I'm going with the under.
Hey, Nolan, welcome back to the studio here. You froze up on us mid-blue chip ratio question that we had going on there. Right now we're talking about Vanderbilt. Dave, Nolan, we'll come back to your question, by the way. Dave, where are you at with Vanderbilt? I know you're a Pavia guy. You always talk about him. I'm sure you're going to spit something crazy like he's going to be the Heisman or something this year. So go ahead and hit us with the Pavia situation in Vanderbilt.
I'm going to go the over, but it's going to be by a slim margin. As much as I love Diego Pavia, again, to Brian's point, they know he's going to be the guy. So as long as they can limit him, don't let him run, limit his throws, it's going to make it very hard. They are a very strong. I feel like they're pretty deep on the line, but still, you got to be able to score some points. And I don't know that Vanderbilt has much more going other than Diego Pavia. But hey, let's see what he makes out of this extra year he got. It looks like everybody's getting extra years.
Well, as you can see on our live YouTube stream here, we do have their schedule scrolling across the bottom. So if you're watching us with us here, you can see the schedule scrolling across there. Check it out. But I'm opposite of you, Dave. I'm more in line with Bryant on this. I am on the under. I'm comfortably under 4.5. I really have them about 3-9, and maybe if I take my half wins into consideration here, I get them to about 4. But the only games I have them winning is Charleston Southern, Georgia State, Utah State. Those should be sure wins. After that, it's a pretty tough road for Vanderbilt. Maybe a win against Kentucky, a maybe win against Virginia Tech at best. But you get Virginia Tech on the road, and that's no easy place to play. So I'm not really sold on a Vanderbilt kind of continuing on what they built last year. I do think Clark Lee's a great coach. Obviously, going 6-6 last season was a great accomplishment for them, especially when you take down Alabama. I mean, that was a Super Bowl type win for this Vanderbilt football team. Eli Stowers, Bryant did talk about him. I do believe with you, Bryant, that he is one of the better options at tight end in this entire football conference. You also bring in the 36th ranked transfer class. Headlining that class, you get Jordan White, a stud transfer center from Liberty. And the defense does return a lot of production, but this schedule is just rough. This is rough treading for this Vanderbilt football team, and I'm just not sold on them quite hitting the over this season. Bryant, Dave, you guys have anything else on Vanderbilt here before we get Nolan back?
Not a whole lot. Honestly, when that stadium's packed, Vandy's kind of a tough place to play. I'm not going to lie. But I just don't see it being this season. Like I mentioned, they're going to get figured out, and I think it's going to show. Dave, I do have a comment. If you got them over at 5 wins, who do you have them beating on this schedule besides the 3 games that are, surefire wins, we'll call it?
I truly think that Vanderbilt can beat Kentucky. I think they beat Charleston Southern. They beat Georgia State. They beat Utah State. They beat Kentucky. Virginia Tech is a toss-up, but I'm giving it to them. And then, listen, you guys are going to sound crazy, but I do think that there's a chance Vanderbilt can beat Missouri. Let's be real. Missouri does not have that tough of a schedule. And I'm not saying they're not going to be good, but I think it really depends on the quarterback situation there at Missouri. Last year, they could have been very good, but Brady Cook just never quite was what he was expected to be last year. So I'm just hoping this is not the case for Missouri again this year, where Bo Prabula is coming from Penn State. He's supposed to be great. He's talking about how great the facilities are at the University of Missouri, thanks to all the boosters up there. But I just feel like, to your point, Colin, you're a Mizzou fan. Mizzou always has that, hey, we're supposed to be really good, and they don't end up panning out just right. They end up, and then I could see them losing a game like Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you for sure. I mean, this isn't me trying to be biased on this, but I don't know, man. I don't think that happens. But, hey, I also didn't think Vanderbilt was going to beat Alabama last year either. So, I mean, and that happened, right? I mean, there's a couple of situations here that I could see happening. But when you get Virginia Tech, South Carolina, Alabama, Texas, Tennessee on the road, even Virginia Tech, I mean, when that place is bumping and it's early in the season and they still got a lot of belief, that is one of the hardest places to play in the country. And you get them on a night game out there, good luck to anybody that plays them. And that road schedule is rough. So I could give you the Kentucky win, Dave, to get them to 4. But, man, after that, it is really, really tough sledding for me on this Vanderbilt football team. Man, that's all. I can't say that. So I'm comfortably on the under. Anything else on Vanderbilt before we move on? All good?
I'm good.
Okay. The next team that we have to talk about on our SEC win totals part 2 is Florida. At Florida, the over-under win total is sitting at 7.5, the over at plus 106, the under at minus 130. Fellas, this is a pretty damn good football team, returning quite a bit of talent. And let's talk real quick about how last year going into the season, we all talked about how Billy Napier was probably not going to survive that season, not survive that schedule. Things were not looking good out there in Florida going into the season. But, hey, Billy Napier survived. They go 7-5. They found their gold spot in this football team in DJ Lagway. This is an exciting quarterback in the conference. arguably going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the conference. I'm excited to see what defensive end Tyreek Sapp brings to the table this season for this football team. All-conference caliber player. Eugene Wilson, all-conference caliber wide receiver for this football team. The offensive line is back. The defense talent is back. You bring in Sturdivant from UCLA. That's a big frame receiver that can stretch the field for you. I think this is going to be a pretty damn good football team this season. So, Dave, where do you sit with Florida on over under 7.5?
I'm still not 100% sold. I do like DJ Lagway, but I'm going to go the under, man. I just don't think they're just quite there yet, and I find it very crazy to say that they're going to make that big of a step this year, that they're going to, let's say get eight wins.
Bryant, where are you at with Florida?
Question, boys. Are we too hype on DJ Lagway?
That's what I was.
Is there too much hype around him right now?
Like, what makes DJ Lagway good? Like, that's what I want to know, because I saw earlier somebody compare DJ Lagway. Man, I don't remember what other quarterback it was, and they have very similar stats, and they're not getting half the hype that DJ Lagway is getting.
I'm gonna say
I get he was a true freshman.
I think the shoe fits, Bryant.
I don't disagree, but I mean, the dude had 12 picks last year, only 15 touchdowns. He's got a turnover problem. I like DJ Lagway. I think I'm going to chalk that up to him being a true freshman thrown into this. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But as far as Florida this season, I'm still on the under, and it's barely at 7 wins. If you look at this schedule, dude,
the schedule's
pretty tough, man. I only have them winning 2 road games. Miami and Kentucky. And then I gave them the Florida State loss earlier in the year, so I had to stick on with that schedule. But they could easily win that game for sure. But turnovers was the major issue. All their losses, they had 2+ turnovers. Every other game that they won, they did not. So I think that's the X factor this season. But with this schedule, I think they got to play A+ football to make this over. That's why I think you see it plus money right now a little bit. But if there's a team, I think it's this team that could possibly do it. Maybe they get back to the Florida of old, but there's going to be a lot of pressure on DJ Lagway to perform. If he starts throwing 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, consecutive games like that, it could be getting a little dicey. So I'm barely on the under at 7. So, but I think easily could be an over. But we'll see.
The thing that I want to say about DJ Lagway in this situation is, we've talked about this before. When the hype is so high for a player and so high for a team, really the only direction that you can go is down. So the hype is there. It's at an all-time high for DJ Lagway. Brian, I'm in line with you on the fact that I think some of the struggles from last year with the turnovers, the bad throws, is that's a freshman, man. That's some of the growing pains that you're going to have, especially in the schedule that he played last season. And you're looking at that same schedule this year, just flipped when it comes to conference games. I mean, this is a really tough damn schedule, but I like the frame that DJ Lagway is on. He has an absolute cannon. If he can read the defense, I feel a lot more comfortable, protect the football a little bit more, and things get even better. I think that if DJ Lagway can hit, I think this team has a really high ceiling. Now, also on the flip side of that, I think the floor could get pretty low if DJ Lagway doesn't take those strides in year 2, and I think they're really banking on that a lot. But let's not forget that receiving core around DJ Lagway is really, really good. And I think he has guys that he can get the ball to pretty easily that can stretch the field and make some plays. So I am against both of you on this one the way it looks. I am on over 7.5, and I have them checking in at 8-4. I have them winning all their home games. I have them losing.
You have them beating Texas?
I do. I have them in a coin flip win against Texas at home. Texas is going to go down to Florida, and
I gave the Texas win.
What? So, if you do have them beating Texas, Bryant?
Yeah.
So, I guess my question, Dave, is what gives you more belief in Arch Manning, first-year starter, than what you have in DJ Lagway coming in at year 2 with Florida? What gives excuse me, what gives you more belief in Arch Manning? Because I don't have that. I mean, I think Arch Manning has potential to be really, really good, but I don't have more belief in him than DJ Lagway as we sit right now.
And it's not even so much Arch Manning. I mean, yes, Arch Manning is supposed to be, great, but then let's not underestimate the fact that Arch Manning comes from a bloodline of just studs. Like, and I'm not saying that automatically makes him good, but listen, he sat the bench behind, some pretty a pretty impressive Texas quarterback. With Quinn Ewers. So it's not like he sat the bench behind an average guy, I'm not saying Quinn Ewers was amazing, but he was pretty darn good, which is why people were trying to poach him from Texas. But I think, him being a freshman, he's kind of been watching, he's been learning, and I think this is his year to kind of really come out on top. But another reason why I'd put Texas above him is just because the talent across the Texas team versus the talent across the Florida team. I think Texas is more.
I think they match up better than you think, though. I really do. And also going down to the Swamp, man, Texas is going to find out what that's about. I would imagine that's going to be a night game, and that is going to be one hell of an environment. And Florida fans are going to get up, and Florida themselves as a team is going to get up to play this Texas football team. I don't know, Dave. Hey, on this one, I thought I'd be outnumbered on the Texas game, but it looks like you're outnumbered on the Texas game.
Hey, that just means it's going to be a good game.
That is Texas' also first SEC game.
That's a punch in the mouth on the road, first SEC game of the season. That is not the place that you want to travel to.
Who does Texas have before that, though?
Let me scroll down. I can tell you. Texas before they played.
Oh, they got UTEP, San Jose State. Oh, dang, they got Ohio State the week before.
They play Ohio State week 1, and then they'll play
San Jose State.
Texas is coming off a bye for that game.
So they'll have UTEP and then a bye, and then Florida.
Yeah.
No, they'll play UTEP, Sam Houston, bye, and then Florida.
Oh, so, Sam Houston. And not the no shame against Sam Houston, but come on.
Well,
Sam Houston and then a bye and then Florida. You pretty much got 2 weeks off.
The good thing for Florida is they're coming off a bye too, though. They come off that bye, and I think that's a good spot for both teams to have a bye to go ahead and prep and get ready for it.
But before that, they're playing Miami, which I'm not saying Miami's going to be amazing, but it's going to be more of a challenge than UTEP or Sam Houston. Pretty much, Texas has after Ohio State, they're chilling. They're playing San Jose State, then UTEP, then Sam Houston, and then a bye. So, I'm not saying they're not going to get beat up, but do you play your starters against UTEP the whole time?
No,
you run up the score, let them sit.
The goal is, if you're Texas, is you get up big and you coast in the second half and let some guys rest and get even more rest going into a bye, and then get the mind right. But no, I'm still on the over on this. I'm actually comfortably on the over. I think that Florida can put it together. The one thing with that Texas game for me is, obviously, I think Steve Sarkisian's a better coach than Billy Napier, and I think Steve Sarkisian can have his team in a better situation and ready to go more than Billy Napier. But man, like I said, the Swamp, you don't want to play at the Swamp. Nobody wants to play there. Even when Florida's not good, nobody wants to play there.
That's true.
Anything else on this Florida football team? We all good there? Okay. Moving on.
Good.
The next team that we have on our list is the LSU Tigers. The over-under for LSU is sitting at 8.5 wins. The over -134. The under +110. Dave, where are you at with LSU?
Me personally, I'm going to take the over. I truly only see them losing to maybe South Carolina, Alabama, Oklahoma. I'm not sure. It's kind of a toss-up game for me. Ole Miss might be a toss-up. I think Clemson. I think it really depends on that Clemson game on August 30th. First game of the season. You're either going to be riding a real high, or you're gonna be like, oh shit, like we got some shit to figure out. I only see them possibly. There's no game on this schedule that I would say, oh, they're gonna lose for sure. Other than the Clemson game, I think it's gonna be a really good game, and I don't think it's a blowout. I think it's gonna be a very back and forth game. But
let me interject on one thing with the Clemson game for LSU, Dave.
It isn't Death Valley, so.
LSU has to snap the first game of the season losing streak. Like that, they are cursed with the first game of the season catching an L. And that is what they need to really eliminate in that Clemson game. And that's not going to be an easy task, going to Death Valley at Clemson and playing a really damn good Clemson football team that matches up really, really well with not just LSU, but all the other SEC schools as well. This Clemson team, I mean, we talked about them in our ACC episode. They're off to the races. So I have LSU losing that game. I also have LSU losing against Alabama. And shockingly enough for me with this LSU team, that is it for me. I have LSU hitting the over 8.5 and going 10-2 this season.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But the problem with that is as well for Brian Kelly that really heats up the seat. If you come in and you don't have a great season, then you are probably in big time trouble at that head coaching job for Brian Kelly. I mean, you went 8-4 last year. That's not the expectations that they want when they bring in Brian Kelly. That's not the expectations that they want when they have Garrett Nussmeier, who should be the best quarterback in the SEC and going to be a first-round quarterback taken in this draft. You had the number 1 portal class this offseason. So it is an absolute must that you exceed expectations and you get this team to a playoff run. I do think they had the talent. You bring in Nick Anderson from Oklahoma, Barry and Brown from Kentucky. This offensive line's in a really good spot. Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins on the defense. Patrick Payton as well. You bring him in the transfer class. The only question I have is kind of the back half of this defense in the secondary. But, fellas, this wide receiving core, they can absolutely fly. This is a really damn good offense.
But their line's a little younger, though, so that's where I'm like, how much time is Garrett Nussmeier going to have with the football?
I think they're in a good spot on the offensive line. I really do. I mean, you lose a stud, but I think they're in a really good spot. Brian, where are you? You with me? Oh, I guess Dave's with me too. Are you on the over on this as well?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I got 10 wins. I actually have them beating Clemson. I think they break that streak of 5 in a row. But I have them losing to Ole Miss and Alabama on the road. I'm not worried about this offense. It all comes down to the defensive side of the ball for me. We've seen what a Blake Baker defense can do firsthand. He knows how to call an elite SEC defense. He did not have it last year, and LSU, frankly, hasn't had a very good defense since before Jaden Daniels. So if this defense can step up, I think their biggest addition, like you mentioned, was probably Patrick Payton from Florida State. That guy is an elite defensive end. I think Nussmeier's on the Heisman watch on the offensive side of the football. I think they have things clicking this year. As much as I hate to say it, I'm not a huge fan of Brian Kelly, but I think LSU gets it done this year and finally gets back to the expectations we've seen of teams of the past down there in Baton Rouge. So I got them over at 10. I think it's going to be a good football team.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty complete team. If they can put it all together and everything can flow and they can get the transfers to buy in and gel right away, I don't see why not. I mean, I think Whit Weeks is one of the better linebackers in the conference in the country. I mean, he is sideline to sideline. We saw that last year. He is headhunting. He is looking to make a play. And Harold Perkins hasn't really put on the best display of what he has to offer. And if he unleashes all the talent that he has, I mean, those are 2 incredible linebackers to base your defensive around with a great pass rush as well. And like you said, man, Garrett Nussmeier is definitely on Heisman watch. So I'm comfortably over on LSU. Anybody, anything else on LSU, fellas? Moving on to Texas A&M.
No, I'm good.
Texas A&M currently sitting at over under 7.5. The over -168. The under +136. This Texas A&M team brings in Mike Elko as head coach last year. We're on year 2 of Mike Elko. I'm a huge believer in him. I think he is a fantastic coach. He is one where he's been. He got this team to go 8-4 last year when sometimes things didn't arguably look the best. And let's not forget, he had Connor Wegman look like Peyton Manning out there against this Missouri Tigers team last season. My Lord, they were absolutely electric. And then you plug in later in the season, you play Marcel Reed. That's looking like it's going to be your starter moving on this season. I think he is a very good talent. It's just a matter of if he can put all the passing game mechanics into effect. Obviously, we know he can get it done with his legs, but you have to have more than just your legs here in the SEC to get things done on a full season basis. Le'Veon Moss stayed on this football team. He's a great running back. Obviously, he's got to stay healthy. got to stay out of trouble. This is a really, really good running back. Terry Bussey, former 5-star athlete in here at this receiving corps, and one of my favorite receivers in all of college football. Transfers in from NC State, comes over to Texas A&M and KC Concepcion. I think this guy is an all-conference caliber wide receiver on this football team. He is an absolute monster. Your defense is star-studded. I love Scooby Williams. I love Des Ricks. I love Will Lee. Will Lee, one of the best cover corners in college football. You bring in the number 11 portal class. The sky is the limit for this Texas A&M football team. So, Bryant, where are you sitting on the over-under for Texas A&M?
I got them over at 8 wins. I think it definitely could be higher, but they got some tough games on the road. Notre Dame, LSU, Mizzou, Texas. I have them beating Notre Dame, have them losing to LSU, Missouri, Texas, and South Carolina. I think Mizzou gets revenge on them from last year. But this team lost a lot to the NFL, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But like you mentioned, I think they have a bunch of great players to backfill that loss. And then I think it truly comes down similar to like a Florida situation with the quarterback. Can Marcel Reed carry an SEC team for 12 games? I think that's to be seen. He had flashes last year for sure, but he has the weapons to motivate and play good football on the offensive side for this football team. And I know Mike Elko is going to have that defense lined up to allow him to take some pressure off of Marcel Reed so he doesn't have to perform and score 35 points a game to win. So this is a decent football team. I'd say last year's team was probably a bit better, at least as far as talent was concerned, but they got some opportunities here to win some football games, so I'm on the over.
Dave, what about you?
I got the over. I mean, I think Texas A&M could potentially have one of their better years in a long time. You know, and it seems like we say this about a lot of teams, like, you know, kind of depends on what the quarterback ends up looking like. But, you know, truthfully it is. You know, most teams, it depends on how good your quarterback is. You throw in a quality quarterback, they can probably get it done for you. But, you know, Marshall Reed is a guy that should make a big step forward. And now you got, you know, guys like KC Concepcion and Mario Craver, you know, these guys that have transferred in, they've got experience, they've got speed. They already had some decent receivers. We know that Marcel Reed can run. So now you have, as long as he can make the throws, that's going to be dangerous because it's not like, you know, other teams where you can stop the pass or you stop the run and you're kind of set. If they can run the ball and they can throw the ball, especially with their offensive line being as good as it's going to be, I think they're going to be a menace offensively. Now, defensively, I think it's where kind of, you know, they really got to make sure they clip things. Their pass defense just has to improve a little bit, I feel like, as well as the pass rush. I don't think they had a very consistent or like a very good pass rush last season. But, I mean, I would imagine that this is something that defensive coordinators looking at and addressing the situation. I feel like I'd rather have that situation where we're trying to improve our pass defense or our pass rush versus, you know, let's find a quarterback that works. You know, I think they've got all the important parts set very well. And then it's just a matter of little things here and there. So I think Texas A&M, I wouldn't be surprised if their only loss is maybe a Texas or maybe a Notre Dame. I think their road games are going to be what's really going to set them apart. And you know, you're going to really see what they're made of.
I'm actually in line with you, though, Dave. I'm on the over on this. I'm at 10-2. So
yeah,
I'm completely in line. Now, the only rebuttal that I have is I liked their pass rush last year. I think that is my question this year is if they can mimic a lot of those things that they did last year. I mean, Nick Scourton and Shamar Stewart, I mean, proved that they were some elite-level pass rushers.
My thing was it wasn't consistent. It was good hitting there, but it wasn't consistent. And with the kind of schedule you're playing at the SEC, you got to be consistent week in and week out. That's my own.
I do agree with that.
And at this point, I'm just nitpicking too. Like, I'm just trying to see, like, because I don't want to be like, oh, Texas A&M's going all the way.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out, like, where could they possibly do a little better?
I get that for sure. My pushback with that still is their offense last year wasn't consistent enough to give the defense some breathing
A break.
time.
Yep.
You know, they're living on the field and they're still keeping this team in football games. So I think this year, if I'm Mike Elko and I'm trying to coach this offense up a little bit with my OC, I'm making sure that, hey, We're stretching the field. We're converting on third downs. We're getting first downs. We're getting early first downs, I should say. Let Marcel Reed run. Take some time off the clock. Let our defense get some breaths. And I think this team could be really, really good. And the only losses that I have them losing to is LSU and Texas on the road. I think those are the only 2 games that they lose. When I look at this schedule, I think they have a pretty good home schedule. They have UTSA, Utah State, Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida, South Carolina, Samford at home. And with that being said, Auburn, Florida, South Carolina, I think are all going to be improved and good football teams. But with that, I like that they have them at home. And we all know playing at Texas A&M is really, really hard. I mean, it's home of the 12th man. This place gets electric, houses some of the most fans in college football. Now, with that being said, you go on the road, you play Notre Dame. That's going to be a tough football game. But I think Texas A&M matches up with Notre Dame just fine. And I think Texas A&M has better athletes outside of the running back position. I think Texas A&M might be better across the board. And Notre Dame's offensive line can be really damn good, barring health. But outside of that, man, they match up with everybody really good. But LSU, tough place to play. Texas, tough place to play. I think they do get got in those 2 football games. But outside of that, fellas, yeah, I'm 10-2. And I like it. I like this 10-2. I think that over 7.5, I think it's too low. I think it's way too low. I would be comfortable at 8.5. Obviously, not 9.5. You're stretching it. You really got to be a believer like some of us. But I think 8.5 would still be a pretty damn good bet. Brian, anything else? You look like you had something to say. And thanks for everybody that's watching with us, too. This is our first time going live. So, obviously, we're kind of working through some growing. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I forgot to mention now, every time you dig into this A&M team, everything you see on bullet 1 of whatever you're looking at is this offensive line. I've seen best in the country in some articles I've read. So I think that bodes well for Marcel Reed especially. I think he's going to have a ton of time to pass, and I think this rushing attack is going to be even better because of that. So that makes me feel even more comfortably about this over 2 is how a quality offensive line can pay dividends for you in the season, especially in the SEC.
Well, especially, too, when you still have a young starter. That wasn't the full-time starter all season last year, and now it's his job. It's now his job to lose. Like, he is there. He is the staple on that offense. So, yeah, I totally agree with you. And like I said early on in this, too, I'm a believer in Mike Elko. I like what he brings to the table. I think the players play for him, and I am a believer in that. So, look forward to watching this Texas A&M football team. Moving on to their crosstown rival, we are going to talk about Texas Longhorns. And this is a team that a lot of people want to hear about. This is a team that has extremely high expectations. It's nothing but Arch Manning everywhere you turn, whether you're talking about Texas or not. The over-under win total for Texas is 9.5. The over at -200. The under at +160. With the Arch Manning conversation being said, one thing that you notice when we talk about this SEC conference versus some other conferences like the Big 12, there's a lot of quarterback conversation, a lot of quarterback controversy. What are we going to get at a lot of these first-time starters? What are we going to get out of some of these guys trying to take a step and a leap in year 2? I'm very comfortable with Arch Manning, not because of his name, but because he is playing for Steve Sarkisian at this Texas football team. They make a playoff run last year, a top team in the SEC. Obviously, you do move on from Quinn Ewers, and I think Texas was completely okay with doing that. I think if Quinn Ewers was still there, I think Quinn Ewers probably lost his job this year to Arch Manning. I still think Quinn Ewers made a mistake by going to the draft. I still think he should have exercised the portal and went somewhere else and probably would have got more money. And I think at this point, maybe he regrets the decision he made. I don't know. That's just me speculating. But I think he could have made more money in the portal than he did in the draft. This team does lose tons of talent to the draft, though. Don't get me wrong. This is still a very star-studded lineup on both sides of the football. This receiving core, boys, is spectacular. I think Ryan Wingo is going to be one of the better wide receivers in the SEC, if not the country. And then you bring in stud freshman receivers, Khalil Lockett and Jamie French, who were both top wide receiver prospects coming out of the class this season. Quintravion Wisner and C.J. Baxter, a hell of a duo in the backfield. And where do you even begin with this defense? I mean, good Lord, this defense is littered with all-conference talent in the backfield, in the front seven. I mean, this is Colin Simmons, Anthony Hill, Kobe Black, Malik Muhammad, Michael Taft. I mean, this is an insane amount of talent on the defensive side of the ball. And I am really intrigued by what this team can do. And once again, like Dave said a minute ago, it all kind of falls back on the quarterback situation. Again, what do we truly get from Arch Manning? So, Dave, I can only imagine what you have to say about Arch Manning. So why don't you go first and tell us where you're at with Texas?
Listen, I'm going to put Texas at the over just for the simple fact that I saw a picture of Arch Manning in downtown St. Louis, Missouri. The fact that this man was in downtown St. Louis, Missouri, in the hood, I love it. He went down there. I believe it was Ryan Wingo that he was down there with.
Yeah, went down there with Ryan Wingo. Yep.
Listen, there is not very many people that are going to be going down to downtown St. Louis, Missouri. You both are from St. Louis, and you guys know you guys won't even go down to St. Louis, Missouri. So I love that. I think that just in reality though, I think it just goes a long way to show like he's really trying to build connection with his receivers, have a good relationship with them, and develop that. Not very many quarterbacks, especially when you're coming from the Manning family, when you don't expect a Manning to be down in downtown St. Louis. Nothing against downtown St. Louis. I love St. Louis, but Arch Manning should have been down there. And the fact that he was down there hanging out with everybody, I love that. But yeah, Texas, when you got Lamborghini on these recruiting visits, you better be putting out some talent. Steve Sarkisian talking about money we don't talk about money till the end. When in the recruiting visit, there's Lamborghinis parked in the entrance.
I did love that take at SEC Media Days when he was talking about that. And part of me does believe it, though, because Texas recruits itself. Texas always has recruited itself, just the name, the staple. It's hard for me to believe that you don't talk about money. And some of these coaches at SEC Media Days talked about, too, like if you talk about money first, like we realize that you're not all about football and you're here for the money and chasing the bag, so we're going to kind of move on a little bit or put you at the back half of our priority list. I don't know how much Texas does that. I know a little bit behind the scenes on the Ryan Wingo situation, and I know they came in and swept them with a bag at the very end. So I'm a little speculative of that too, Dave. Brian, what about you with Texas?
But you also got to think and to your point, Texas recently, Steve Sarkisian has brought them back. Two straight conference college football playoff semifinals, 23 players in the NFL draft the last 2 years, 23 in 2 years.
He's a great coach, man.
And back-to-back really good wins, or really good seasons. I think that itself sells you on because the goal of every college football player is to go to the NFL. And when you find out that Texas has sent 23 guys to the NFL in the last 2 years, you're like, this might be the place to go. But hey, the money's a good incentive too.
Oh, it helps. It helps. Brian, what about you? Brian, you still got us? I can't hear you.
Yeah, I was a little glitchy here, but I'm good. I think so. I'm going to start with Texas and hope I keep rolling. I got them over at 10 wins. I have them losing to Ohio State and Georgia. Those are tough games on the road. Definitely could see them winning either or. Probably not both of those games, but I got them over at 10 because of that. I think this team is a legit title contender. I'd probably say they're a lock for the playoff for sure. We already had the conversation enough to talk about Arch Manning. I think he's for sure the real deal. So in the heels, they were less than 80% in the red zone last year. I think that could be worked on, and I think they definitely will. I think that was partially Quinn Ewers' issue rather than the team itself. So I think they fixed that. And this team was in the top half of the league in turnovers and penalties as well. That's the really only sore spot I see with this team. Those are easy fixes. Those are practice things I think they can handle. So this is one of the best teams in the conference and for sure probably the country as well. So I'm surprised this isn't at 10.5 on the over-under, but I got Texas on the over at 10. Hook 'em horns.
I am also at 10-2. I'm on the over on this as well. I have them losing the Florida game and the Georgia game. I do have them winning that Ohio State game. It's not a comfortable win for me, but I think it's a very gettable game still. Ohio State's a really good football team, but they kind of the same conversation. They're very similar to Texas, right? You lose a ton of production. You lose your quarterback. Where do you go from there? What does it look like with the new guys under center? So I think they have a lot of the same questions. I think Texas's athletes are just absolutely unbelievable. And I don't know. That's going to be a game to watch, maybe game of the year out of the gate, because I'm sitting here in my head just thinking they match up so well because Ohio State brings in Jeremiah Smith. Well, this defense, this back half on this Texas football team can maybe take him out of the equation more than most teams, I should say. Not really take him all the way out, but limit him compared to most teams. Now I look at this receiving core from Texas, and I think about Ohio State's back half and Caleb Downs and Eben Nosen. I can't remember if I said that name right. They can take some guys out of the equation. So they just match up so incredibly well. And 9-3 is realistic, though. Let's have this conversation. What if Arch Manning isn't in Heisman conversation like people are expecting? What if Arch Manning is just a step? What if Arch Manning just a Quinn Ewers? I don't think that's the case. But we talked on this show last year a lot about how Quinn Ewers looks like he has lost a lot of zip on the football. We talked a lot about what you just said, Bryant, where when they get into the red zone, Arch Manning cannot put it in tight windows anymore. He's lost quite a bit of that zip, like I just said. So what if that's really the case for Arch Manning this season? I don't think it is. But, I mean, there is that situation where if he doesn't take that big leap in year one, being the full-time starter like they're expecting, there can be some growing pains. So I think that is why this might be sitting at 9.5. But the talent around him and the athletes around him, when it comes to getting off the bus, man, they really fit the mold of what you're looking for in a championship caliber team. Anything else on Texas? I know, Bryant, you're a little glitchy here. Like I said a second ago, too, work with us here. We're trying to really perfect this live. This is our first time doing it live, as you guys know, have been following us. So trying to make sure that it works. We're going to work the glitches out. So we got some growing pains here, but it will all settle in after this. So, Bryant, were you good on Texas? You are good? Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right, moving on to Alabama. Talk about another team that everybody wants to talk about. Talk about another team that a lot of people probably watch this episode just to really hear what we have to say about Alabama. And this is another team with the win total sitting at 9.5. And I'll be honest, spoiler alert, I have a ton of overs on this episode, which makes sense because on SEC Part 1, I had a ton of unders. So I think that this episode is loaded up with premier football teams. But the over-under at 9.5, the over -112, the under -108, kind of floating in there in that range where the sites in Vegas can see this go truly either direction. Kalen DeBoer, year 2. I don't know how much pressure he's really under. I think the fans of Alabama and the non-realistic college football fans out there think that he has more hot seat conversation and pressure than what he really does, because I don't really think there's a ton there. He's recruiting extremely well at Alabama. You had a 9-3 season. That's not what they're after. But let's not forget, we just moved on from Nick Saban, who is the greatest college football coach that there has been when it comes to winning football games and X's and O's and getting the job done. Now, what we can highlight that was really bad from Alabama last year, that was a really bad Oklahoma loss. You don't lose that Oklahoma game, and we're talking about you in the playoffs. You still almost got in the playoffs, even after that loss. Also, we're moving on from Jalen Milroe with this Alabama football team. We're moving on to Ty Simpson. I should say it looks like Ty Simpson at the quarterback position. If I was to bet money at who's the starting quarterback, it would be Ty Simpson for me. Also, Anybody that follows Alabama knows that there's a guy by the name of Ryan Williams there. And Ryan Williams can carry just about anybody at the quarterback position to be somewhat competent to win football games. This dude is an absolute express machine to getting W's. They bring in Isaiah Horton from Miami. This guy is an absolute ball hawk at the receiver position, can go get it for you on a third down when you need a first down. A really damn good wide receiver, too. They also have the top left tackle in college football, in my opinion, in Caden Proctor. This guy's going to be high on draft boards whenever he decides to go. They are just loaded with studs everywhere on defense, too. I could go on for days about this Alabama football team. Bryant, where are you at with Alabama, over or under?
I'm over. I got them at 11 wins. I think their only loss is Georgia. I think this team gets back to Alabama's of the past. Comes down to the quarterback, who is going to be. I think Ty Simpson is more like an A.J. McCarron type quarterback we've seen from them in the past. He's not going to do a whole lot with his legs, but he's an elite passer. I still wouldn't count out Keelan Russell. I think he has a chance to maybe possibly sneak in there as the core starter back or the starting quarterback, but I do think it's Ty Simpson. Obviously, we talked about Ryan Williams. There's not much discussion there. He's right there with Jeremiah Smith as the best receiver in the nation. Still only 18 years old, which is crazy. The thing with Alabama is their rush defense is really not that good last season. In the games that they struggled, they were getting gashed on the ground on that side and from the opposing rushing attacks. I think they can shore that up. They'll be just fine. Tougher schedule. They got some tough road games. Georgia, Florida State, South Carolina. They play LSU at home, which is good. But I think this team's going to be a better team than they were last year. I think moving on from Milroe and starting fresh will help them. So I'm going to roll with Alabama on the over for them this season.
Dave?
I don't know if I just got different information or what, but I'm going the under on Alabama. I think they lose to Georgia.
Hang on. If you're on the under, you need to enlighten me a little bit, because whenever you said that, the first thing that came to my mind was I just don't believe that this team is really going to be under. I'm hitting that buzzer sound because I could not disagree with you more. So please tell me.
I think Georgia, I think LSU are losses for them. I think Auburn could be one of those that's a toss-up, and I think South Carolina has a possibility to beat Alabama. Again, and I think one of my biggest issues is the fact that you don't have a for sure quarterback, because everything I've seen, everyone thinks that Ty Simpson's going to be the quarterback, but apparently Keelan Russell's not far behind him. So my thing is, if you're this far into, I mean, we're mid-July, you should know exactly who your quarterback is, and it shouldn't be close if you're a top caliber team. And the reason why I say this is I don't think Ty Simpson or Keelan Russell are, top level quarterbacks.
What if Keelan Russell is that good, though? What if they're having this conversation because the guy that they bring in, a young talent, is that good? Because I've watched some film on him, and he can zip the ball around. I mean, he can make all the throws. It's just got to be if you're comfortable starting a freshman.
Yeah, but I just feel like any team that has gone into the season without a for sure starter, leading into August, it never ends up actually panning out great. I mean, I hope it does for them, but my thing is, like we've talked, the quarterback position is very important, and if they don't know exactly who the starter is at this point, I'm just not that confident that they have a lot of talent there. I mean, yes, on paper they're supposed to be very talented, but I don't know.
I mean, obviously we don't.
And you got a new offensive coordinator too. Not to mention, like, Jeff Grimes. I think he's great, but at the same time, you're not sure who your quarterback is. You have a new offensive coordinator. Like, we also got to think, like, how well are these quarterbacks going to mesh with Jeff Grimes?
But that offensive line, I just hang my hat on that offensive line. I hang my hat on that receiving core, that defense, and I am a firm believer in Kalen DeBoer. I said this last year going into the season. Like, he is one of the most successful coaches, especially outside of the SEC, coming into the SEC to take over Alabama. This guy is a absolute winner of a head coach, and that's what I'm hanging my hat on. I'm 10-2. I'm Bryant. You were 11-1, I believe. Dave, you're on the under. I'm at 10-2. I do think they lose to Georgia, and shocker, I do think they lose to South Carolina. That's going to be most likely a night game. I think South Carolina's going to be a pretty damn good football team. It's a tough place to play. So I think that's one that you could get got on. And, your bye week falls right after that. You play Tennessee the week before that South Carolina game. So I think they can get got in that football game. So I have them at 10-2, but I don't know. 9.5 is a lot, but I just think they take the right step. I just don't think there's any way they miss the playoffs again. And at 10-2, they're going to be a shoo-in to make the playoffs. So I also don't think that Keelan Russell was a starter to begin the season. And the main reason for that is because if Kalen DeBoer does feel a little bit of pressure to make sure he makes the playoffs this year, I'm not sure he wants to put all his eggs in starting a freshman quarterback's basket rather than just going to play a Ty Simpson that should take care of the football. He's
only got 29 completions career.
Yeah, but he's fell behind some quarterbacks that they had success with. I think it's been a really tough road for Ty Simpson to get the starting job. So it's impressive, one, that he stuck it out and he's still there. And he's learned behind really good guys. He's learned with great coaches. I think he is trustworthy enough to make all the throws and not turn the ball over. And that is truly all you need on this Alabama football team. Convert on third down and don't turn the ball over. Don't make stupid throws to put the defense back on the field. And I think that's what Ty Simpson gives you. So I am comfortable with this Alabama football team. Bryant, you have anything else to add?
I'm good. I'm excited to watch that team. I think it's going to be one of the better teams to watch in this conference.
I keep checking in with you because I know that yours is a little laggy here, so I'm just making sure before I move on that you don't have something to add. I know Dave's going to throw it at me if he's got something for me. Moving on to South Carolina. This South Carolina football team's over-under win total sitting at 7.5. The over at plus 108. The under at minus 132. I have said before that I think this is a really, really good South Carolina football team. I need to be a little bit more realistic than what I came into it with, because the more I dive into South Carolina, I do think there are some question marks. I do think it kind of falls on if that defensive line can be as steady of a rock as it was last season. I have raved and raved and raved about Dylan Stewart, who I think is one of the best pass rushers in the country. He is back. I do love that for them. Shane Beamer is the head coach, another guy that was on hot seats like Billy Napier last year, where we didn't know if he was going to make it through the full season. And here we are. Same situation. Finds a quarterback that he can trust and that he's going to hang his hat on and ride into this 2025 season with in Lenora Sellers. This is a guy that can truly do all of the things at the quarterback position. He is really tough to bring down. He is really electric when he gets loose, and he has an absolute rifle of an arm. Can make all the throws. With that being said, though, when I break down some Lenora Seller tape from last season, I see a couple things that are a little maybe yellow flaggish and not necessarily red flaggish, but he needs to improve on. Don't take such dumb sacks. Sometimes throwing the ball away is okay. Sometimes taking a sack for a loss of 2, it's not okay, but it's sure of a hell of a lot better than taking a loss of 12 like you did many a times last season. Also, read the defense. If the first guy is not open, understand that the check down behind the line of scrimmage isn't always the bailout. You're getting that guy killed more times than not. And so I think he needs to be able to get through his progressions a little bit when he's playing some of these better defensive teams. And then the SEC, you're going to face a lot of those. With that also being said, I think he has arguably one of the better receivers in the conference, if not the country, and Nick Harbor. This guy is a monster. He's fast. He's big. He can do all the things at the receiver position. So with that being said, I am over 7.5. Not as comfortable as I thought I was going to be when I broke this thing down. I'm at 8-4, and I have to retract a win that I gave them earlier on in the season. I had them beating Clemson at the end of the season. I am no longer with that. I am going to switch the Clemson game to a win for Clemson and switch it to a loss here for South Carolina. So I have them checking in at 8-4. Dave?
I got the over. And I, again, like you, I had to kind of like, I was like, okay, am I getting too big on South Carolina just yet? But if you really look at their schedule, it's not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. I mean, you're harder team, so you're only.
I don't know, Dave. It's a kind of a gauntlet, man. When you pick
at,
up Clemson out of conference.
I mean, at A&M is not going to be fun. At LSU is not going to be fun. But then Virginia Tech is a neutral, which is great. And then Mizzou, sorry, but Mizzou's not that. You're not scared to go to Mizzou necessarily.
They should be. They don't win there.
And then Ole Miss. Yeah, this is different South Carolina, though. Ole Miss, possibly. But then their home games is South Carolina State, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Oklahoma. I'm not too sure about them. Bama will be, tough at home. But I think South Carolina can pull that game off. Coastal is Coastal, so, should be okay. And then Clemson at home. Clemson at home is not terrible, but again, Clemson is in South Carolina, so it's not really an away game for Clemson either.
I just think that Clemson pass rush, the more I broke both those teams down, I just think it's too much for this offensive line of South Carolina. Ryan, where are you at with South Carolina?
Personally, boys, I think this should be in one of our picks for the bet it segment before we do our futures for the season. I'm on the over, and I think it's easily over. I believe in this team. I think Lenore Sellers is the real deal. I do agree with you. He does give me some Caleb Williams vibes where he takes stupid sacks, but that's something you can coach and fix in an offseason. I imagine they're probably doing that. This team did not hardly lose anybody in the portal. They're returning almost their entire defense. And it really only comes down to like another team turnovers. They were 7-0 when they didn't have 2+ turnovers last year. All their losses, they had 2 or more. So if they just like I've mentioned with a bunch of these teams, if they can stop that, they'll be good. So I think this team's going to control football games. I think it's going to take some pressure off Sellers. He's going to do what he can do as long as he can read the defense, like you said, and get through his progressions. But he's got a good running back right next to him and face on as well. Can't forget about him. So I got South Carolina comfortably on the over. I got them winning 10 games. I think their only losses are Alabama and LSU. So I think the 7.5 I think it's going to be way over.
Wow. So maybe I wasn't that out of line with my thoughts on this. I mean, I knocked them down to 8-4. And at the beginning, what's crazy is I still have on my notes here when I broke it down. At the beginning, I was 10-2. I get down to 9-3. Now I'm down to 8-4. And maybe I'm giving a little bit too much love to our Missouri Tigers, but I think Mizzou dominates them in this series, especially when Mizzou's at home. I think Mizzou can match up pretty well with them. And I have South Carolina losing that football game. That's an unbiased pick. That is a pick that I truly think that is a tough go get on the road. I think LSU's a loss on the road. I think A&M's a loss on the road. And like I said, I switched that Clemson game, which is a home game. So I think all their losses come on the road. And I just the A&M game and the Clemson game being the 2 of the last 3 games of the season with the Coastal Carolina matchup in the middle there, that's whatever. But 2 of the last 3 games there, after you've played this schedule where I'm kind of against Dave on this is a hell of a schedule, man. I mean, Oklahoma we think is going to be improved. Alabama we think is going to be even better than they were last year. Clemson we have really high expectations for. Mizzou we think they should be pretty competitive in where they were last year. LSU improved. Ole Miss should be at the same, and A&M improved. I mean, this is a tough schedule, and that's what scares me. That is what scares me with this football team. But they also have key pieces to be very successful. Brian, if I came on this show at the end of the season and we came back and Dave looked at you and I and said, hey, South Carolina went 11-1, I also wouldn't be blown away by that. But if we also came on that show and Dave said, hey, South Carolina went 6-6, I also wouldn't be completely shocked by that. I'm more shocked by 6-6 than I am 11-1. So I'm over on this. I can be talked right back into this being on the Book It segment for the best bets win total feature that we're going to do moving forward after we wrap all these up. So we're kind of split on this a little bit. We all are on the over, but we're kind of split where we have them on the over. Dave, Bryant, you guys good on South Carolina?
Another team that's going to be fun to watch. I think they have limitless potential personally.
They really do. I guess it kind of comes down to what can Beamer do for them this season. They have high expectations. Some of these teams, like South Carolina and Missouri, we talked before, when the expectations are high, they play a little bit worse. So anxious to see if they can perfect that craft. Moving on to the Georgia Bulldogs, and this is the last team of our SEC win totals that we are going to discuss. They are the last team for a reason. The over-under win total is at 9.5. The over is -164. The under is +134. I'm going to cut right to it. I'm going to save all the bullshit that I would usually talk about with most teams. This team goes 12-0. That may blow some people away, but this team goes 12-0. I know there's a lot of question marks about Gunnar Stockton. Fellas, he just has to do one thing. And it's not throw interception. That's all he has to do is protect the football, and this team is completely off to the races. You don't necessarily hear Kirby hype this team up as much as he has some teams in years past, and it probably is because they have a few question marks compared to what they usually have. Fellas, this was a really good football team last year with average quarterback play out of Carson Beck and a horrendous wide receiving core that was one of the worst teams in the country. I don't even know how to word this. Worst teams in the country at drop passes, I guess is how you would put it. the amount of passes that they dropped every week was astounding. I don't even know how you do that. I don't even know how you call yourself a receiving corps anymore when you dropped as many passes as you did. There are some offensive line question marks. Perfect that 12-0 season, win the SEC, maybe the 1 seed in the playoffs. I think this football team has it all. And Nate Frazier, going to be one of the best running backs in the country. I am all in on Georgia Bulldogs this season. And I am usually a huge critic of Georgia football just because I hate how much they succeed and win all the time. But when you're good, you're good. Just stay out of trouble. Let's not speed on the way to the football games. That way you can retain your full roster. Bryant, where are you at with Georgia?
Man, I'm right there with you, Colin. I think this team could easily go 11-1, 12-0. All their tough games are at home. They got Bama, Texas, Ole Miss at home. Only have three true road games. They play Florida. That's always a neutral game in Jacksonville, and they play Georgia Tech, a neutral game in Atlanta. So those 3 away games, Tennessee, Auburn, Mississippi State, they don't scare me. This team has a lot clicking for him, and Kirby Smart's probably the best coach in the conference as far as winning is concerned now that Saban's gone. Stockton does have some question marks, but that boy is tough as nails. We saw him taking a massive shot in the SEC championship game last year and come right back. Like I mentioned, like you mentioned, I mean, if he can limit the turnovers and the interception, he'll be just fine. But they bring in Zachary Branch. I think that's going to be a big weapon for him on offense. And like you mentioned, Nick Frazier is going to be one of the best running backs in this conference, if not the country. So I'm right there with you. I don't know how this is at 9.5. That must be like the top that Vegas likes to go. But this is easily over, in my opinion.
I love that on this schedule, they draw Alabama at home and have a bye the week before. Then they draw Texas at home later in the season on November 15th. I don't know what more I could complain about if I was to draw the schedule for Georgia other than to just not play Texas or Bama. But if you're going to play them, you get them both at home. They have to come to you and play at an electric environment where that place is going to be – you're going to be able to pick them up like 6 states away with how loud they're being in that football game. I think this sets up really well for them, and I am all the way in. Dave, are you with us?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think – and I think really the biggest thing that you hear people talk about Georgia is like, oh, there's a lot of roster turnover. Yeah, every year because they're always sending guys to the draft. Like, they're always having, roster turnover. Like, that's nothing new.
Next man up mentality, dude.
Like, it's just, okay, it's just another year. They're just going to load up again, and here we go again. And to your point, Colin, I think this is about as good of a schedule as it gets with the talent they have, the schedule they're playing. This should be a year where they win the national championship. And there's just not much more else to it.
We have our national championship or our playoff and national champion episode later, right before the season begins. But it wouldn't surprise me if there's a couple of us that have them on there. I mean, it just, once again, comes down to what does Gunnar Stockton do? One of the funniest things that we've had in our group chat in a while is I sent a picture of Gunnar Stockton to our group chat, and Brian said he's still dizzy from that hit in that football game against Texas. And, I mean, he really does still look dizzy from that hit. As long as he can put the helmet on and look a little more coherent than what I was seeing at the SEC media days, I'm really in on this football team. And like I said, go ahead.
He also looks like he's 40.
Yes.
Like what is it with Georgia quarterbacks looking like they, have full-time jobs and they're 35 but 3 kids, been married for 10 years?
Well, to your point, though, how many times did we say that we didn't know what Georgia was going to be able to do with Stetson Bennett? And they went on and had extreme success with Stetson Bennett. Like, Gunnar Stockton is Stetson Bennett 2.0. This is what just take care of the football. Just don't throw interceptions. Limit the drop passes on the receiving core. And the sky is the absolute limit again for the Georgia Bulldogs. So with that being said, fellas, do we have anything else on any of these football teams that we have talked about in the SEC win totals?
I don't know. I think we covered it really well. All conferences, not just the SEC. I'm excited to do some shows where we talk about win totals and picks for Heisman, etc. Those are going to be fun episodes as we count down to week 0, which is pretty much only 4 weeks away.
Hey, we are getting closer and closer. And like I said, every week here recently. The juices are really starting to flow now. The pump-up videos are out. You can go watch those anywhere. Those are exciting to watch. They really get me going. So I got to ask the question that we always leave off with after we wrap up every conference. Dave, Bryant, who wins the SEC? Obviously, Georgia for me. I'm assuming Georgia for Bryant. Dave, is it Georgia for you?
Georgia for sure.
Bryant, you sure Georgia? Is it a clean sweep?
I don't know, man. It's tough. I'm just going to go. I'm going to pick off the wall. I think Texas. I think Texas.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe I spoke too soon on you picking Georgia. I do think it is Georgia, and I'm actually fairly comfortable with picking that. So we will be back, and we will do our playoff episode with championship picks, Heisman picks. We will do all those things moving forward. Next week, we are going to do some out of the Power 4 conference teams, maybe some of the Pac-12 teams, some of the top G4 teams. Maybe a little bit of a shorter episode. May not have as many teams on that episode, but we're going to come back next week and do that. And then, hey, after that, we get into that book it segment where we start making some money, and we start making this money early. And last year, if you rocked with us, you made some coin, and we had a damn good season on the betting lines last year. We were beating up all the Vegas odds out there left and right. Also, farewell to Nolan on this episode. He did let us know that right at the beginning of the episode, lost power or lost internet. That's actually really unfortunate timing. But we will have Nolan back next week. We were going to try to continue the live episodes. I do like this live episode aspect a whole lot more, especially once it gains traction and the listeners that we do have out there know that we're going live. That'd be exciting stuff. And we're going to communicate it a little bit more. This was just honestly kind of a trial run. I don't think it went bad. We have some growing pains just to work through with maybe a little bit of the lagginess here or there from some of us, and that's okay. We're going to work through that, and we're going to get better at it. And the live aspect is what we want to do for everybody out there listening to us. So, fellas, if you guys don't have anything else, I'll get us out of here.
I got a couple things to add. Make sure you guys are tuning in to Pick Six previews. We're in there on the Missouri page. One of the best preseason magazines, articles, whatever you want to call it, out there, in my opinion. So go and check that out. And also, if you're on YouTube, hit the notification button for our channel. That way you can see when we go live, and you'll be ready for it moving forward. So that way you don't have to go search, and it'll pop right up on your phone or whatever whenever we go live. That way you can tune right in.
Hey, I like that, Brian. That's good stuff. Great point right there. Make sure that you're checking us out and liking, subscribing, and notifying. That way you can see us. That's a great point, Brian. And like I said, we'll communicate it more next week now that we understand how it works. When we all hopped in the studio before we went live, we basically just said, hey, we're going out on a limb here. Let's see what happens. Let's see if this works. And hey, sure as shit, next thing you know, Brian comes in at the beginning of the episode. And he's like, hey, it's working. We're live. That's perfect. That's what we wanted. So moving forward, we will be doing this. You can follow us on X at DT_sports_, Facebook, Deep Threat Sports Network, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Deep Threat Sports. Tell your friends, tell your family. We are getting closer to college football. We are officially counting down the days. Fellas, hey, until next time, peace.